Aloha and good afternoon. My name is Juergen Steinmetz, joining you from eTurbo News and livestream.travel here in Honolulu. I always wanted to say beautiful Honolulu, but it's not so beautiful outside here. Actually, the governor has declared a state of emergency for today because of severe weather and flooding. So let's stay dry here where we are, but it doesn't look too nice outside. So if you're coming on vacation to Hawaii, get ready for some nice weather in a week, but this week, I understand for most of the week, it'll be rainy, thunderstorms, and flooding. Now, in the rest of the world, Great Britain's decision to impose restrictions on Nigeria was announced on Saturday, with the British government citing how the vast majority of Omicron cases in Britain have been linked to overseas travel from South Africa and Nigeria. Nigeria's representative in the UK condemned the targeted approach, what he said, taken by the US government that limits travel to and from African nations, and he's calling it travel apartheid, what is, of course, a very strong word. The Ghana president, Nana Akufo-Addo, also criticized countries for imposing restrictions on African nations, calling the measure instruments of immigration control. The UK Department of Health and Social Care has also stood behind the restrictions, noting that the government will continue to keep potential risks posed by individual countries and territories under review as regards what levels of precautions are required. In the meantime, a pastor from Ghana told his church that the enemy is within.
Look at our traditional leaders and the slave trade. We blame the whites for the slave trade we went through. We blame the whites that they offended us. They took us as slaves. But let's wait for a minute. Who sold the black man to the whites? Who sold the black man to the whites? Our own traditional leaders. The enemy is not outside. The enemy is within. If we are asking the Europeans to pacify us and also to apologize to us, our traditional leaders must be the first to apologize on behalf of their ancestors for the evil they have done against their fellow blacks. Look at our attitude towards the environment and the destruction of our water bodies. All our river bodies have turned into dark brown. And you know what they said? In the next 20 years, if we don't stop this illegal mining, Ghana, we will import water to drink. Yet we don't care. And Chinese, they will come from their country into our forest, destroy our forest, destroy our land, and illegally mine and damage our waters. How can they come if the traditional leaders didn't give them permission to do that? And in one instance, whilst they were dead, our military went there to protect them. Our own military that is supposed to protect us rather protected the foreigners to destroy our water and destroy our forest. The enemy is not outside, the enemy is within. If you look at our own systems and structures in our country, we don't have a better system to improve the lives of people. Pastor, I was surprised when I read in China, they had a 10-year vision, and they said from 2011, their vision was that in 10 years from 2011, and 10 years from 2011 will be what year? This year, 2021, that they will raise over 20% of the people to become multi-millionaires. Now in 2021, they have 1.8 million Chinese who are multi-millionaires in China, and they are between the age of 40 to 50 years. Multi-millionaires. The government intentionally decided that they will make sure they will have 20% of the population multi-millionaires. They also agreed that they will make sure that they will lift up the poorest of the poor, and they lifted 100 million people from begging to live a better life. But in this country, in our country, we fight our own businessmen. Our government will fight our business people. When they know that your business is thriving, and they know that perhaps you are not sympathetic towards the running party or the ruling party, they will fight you, collapse your company, and make you poor. When in China, they want to make the people rich. In Africa, we want to make our own people poor. The enemy is not outside. The enemy is within. Look at our African leaders. How much they stole, the money they stole away. We are told in Gambia, Jamal Yaha, he stole 11 million US dollars from his own country, Gambia. Sani Abacha stole between 1 billion to 5 billion dollars out of Nigeria. Hosni Mubarak stole 17 million US dollars in 8 years. The enemy is not outside. The enemy to our own progress is within. Look at our presidents. The presidents who were fighting for our independence, what we did to them. In Togo, the man who fought for the independence of Togo, called Sylvanus Olympio. When Togo got independence, he decided that they would not use the French franc, the French CFA. They decided they will have their own Togo currency. And you know what? They used Iyadema to kill him and to get rid of him. When Olympians wanted to make Togo great, the enemy within, the Judas within, killed him. In Burkina Faso, the man who gave them independence, Maurice Yamego, was eliminated by his own people. When Thomas Sankara came, his own body group killed him and got rid of him. The enemy is not outside, the enemy is within. You look at our own country, Kwame Nkrumah started a new vision to develop Ghana, and who undermined him from within? They threw him out by Kotoka. Today we celebrate Kwame Nkrumah, but their own Judas will damage him. I pray that the man who organized that coup to betray Kwame Nkrumah, and for us to name our airport after him, Kotoka International Airport, I think we should start a national conversation to change the name of the Kotoka International Airport, because as long as that name is, we have endorsed coup, we have endorsed enemies that will fight the progress of our nation. We must change the name of Kotoka International Airport to Kwame Nkrumah International Airport. The enemy is not outside, the enemy is within. We need to ask God to give us a new character. Let's change our behavior and have new values, because the person will be smiling with you, smiling with you, yet he will stab you at the back. How can you have a father who wants to destroy your life? Yet in Africa we have governments that do not want to make the people or improve the lives of the people. When in overseas, their governments have created an environment for every citizen to be better. Why is it that our governments can't think about the welfare of the citizens? And we kill the businesses of our own people.
New provisions given grocery stores, malls, and salons the option to either enforcing physical distancing rules or requiring proof of vaccination to enter their establishment. This provision was put in place today in New Brunswick. New Brunswick is a Canadian province and it allows now groceries to ban unvaccinated food shoppers. Under a new provision announced today by New Brunswick Health Minister Dorothy Shepherd, grocery stores in the province are allowed to turn away shoppers that aren't vaccinated against COVID-19. Other new restrictions include limiting households gathering to 20 people, capping outdoor gatherings at 50 people, and requiring unvaccinated people to avoid indoor gatherings. The government of Italy had just published questions and answers on the use of the enhanced green card, otherwise being referred as the Super Green Pass. From December 6th to January 15th, Italian citizens must have a strengthened green pass. It's a vaccination pass or a pass that includes your immunity for COVID, designated in the white area to access shows, sporting events, indoor catering, parties, discos, and public ceremonies. In the United States, at United Airlines, the holding company for United Airlines announced today that Matthew Friend will join the board of directors. Friend is currently the executive vice president and chief financial officer of Nike. He brings more than 2 decades of corporate financing and strategy experience to the airline's board. In the UK, warning so-called lifestyle drug users, middle-class people who take class A narcotics, the UK Minister of Policing Kit Malthouse said that these individuals are driving much more of the violence and the degradation that UK is seeing from drugs overall. A 10-year plan to tackle drug dealers and users will give police new powers in Britain to strip passports and driver's licenses from UK citizens using drugs. Citing how UK citizens who fail to pay child support can lose their passport and driver's licenses, Malthouse claimed that the new approach of interfering in people's lives to bring about behavior changes is currently used in other areas of the government. Next, we will go to Saudi Arabia. You can see how long it takes to build a major road in Jeddah. It takes absolutely no time. Listen to those in charge of the train project here in Hawaii. Just look at Saudi Arabia, how they can do. After this, we're going to give you a view on the Formula One stadium in Jeddah before we say good night.
الوضع مربية صح؟ والله كنا مربية تذكرت. الو عجيب. هذا الله يسلمكم اليخت كلب فوق. طبعا مسوين نفس المطاعم دورين تقعدون كله يخوت صافطه. وحاطين شاشات حق اللي يبي يشوف الفورمولا. بس المكان وايد حلو وايد.
Well, I hope you enjoyed our little trip to Saudi Arabia. Good night from Honolulu, and we see you tomorrow. And if you wanted to see an archive of this news broadcast, just go to our YouTube channel. What is it? youtube.com/travelnewsgroup, or simply click on the link on all our websites at eTobo News. Again, thank you for watching us, and we see you tomorrow. Good night.